A thin blanket of sand gently sweeps across the desert plains, the sun unrelenting with its rays of heat. A man walks these plains covered in a blanket, concealing his face, with goggles to protect his eyes. He breathes heavily as he treks through the sand, each step weighted with fatigue. On his back, he carries a bag tied with rope over his shoulder. It leaks a greenish-yellow substance from the bottom. He uses his single hand to carry the bag over his shoulder, while the other hand is free. Whistles in the distance can be heard, and provoking cackling, as if the man had entered an ambush of hyenas. The man stopped in his tracks and sighed. "Let me pass, and you all get to live." The laughter continued. "Let me pass," the thug mocked. "How about drop the bag, and we won't gut you out here for the ravens." The large-statured man dropped the bag, causing a small crater where it landed. "Bag dropped," the man answered. He's extremely calm, yet his deep voice had a commanding tone to it. 4 shadows emerge from all sides of the man. They have him surrounded. The man is not fazed by this at all. "You're really going to attempt to mug me over contents of something you don't know? Anyone crazy enough to go beyond the city walls and come back with a bag must be carrying something valuable." These 4 men all seem malnourished to the man, hardly any muscle on them. They wear gas masks and brandish pipes, machetes, and guns. The man is a behemoth compared to these muggers. He's much stockier and more built, like a power lifter. "Last warning. Let me pass, or the sand will bury what I leave left of you." The muggers didn't respond. They instead shared looks of communication with one another. The shirtless one seemed to be the leader of his pack. He pointed his gun at the man.
"Suck my big one!"
A loud bang went off. The man's head jolted back from receiving a bullet to the forehead. He took 2 steps back, then planted his feet, head still to the sky. The bullet that hit its mark fell to the man's feet with an orange electricity wisping around it, then faded. "Oh shit!" the thug panicked. "He got a turner!" The man menacingly lowers his head back to center to make eye contact with his aggressors. Annoyance and anger filled his glare. "You pissed off the wrong guy." The man tossed his cloak at the thug, covering his body. From his arm, a chainsaw emerged, and he severed the covered thug in half. "Oh fuck!" the thug cried. "That's the Junkyard Reaper! It's Cain Revsol!" A second thug went to slice Cain with his machete. Cain would slice the machete and the arm wielding it in half. The thug held his arm, screaming in shock as he tried to stop the blood from spraying out. Cain would silence him permanently by relieving his body from the weight of his head. The red gauntlet on his left arm would erect a second chainsaw. Cain would scrape the 2 together and hurl from it an orange spark that would set fire to the third thug. He screamed as he wore a cloak of flames upon his skin. Shortly after, he would collapse into ash. Cain looked over at the last thug. Stay away! Don't come any closer!" The thug fired as Cain sprinted towards him, bullets causing his body to jolt from impact, but it was not enough to impede his approach. Cain lunged forward. He skated across the sand with his chainsaw, cutting through the wind like a lance. He cut right into the stomach of the thug and ripped it out from his torso. The muggers were slain rather easily. Cain would retract his chainsaw, causing it to retreat into his red gauntlet. He gathered his bag, hoisted it over his shoulder, and continued his walk, seemingly unfazed by the interaction he just had. The gentle sandstorm would waste no time in swallowing the dismembered corpses of the 4 muggers. After walking for 15 minutes, he saw a city in sight. He stood by a sign that reads, Junkyard City. The sandstorm dissipated. Cain's annoyance, however, did not. He was covered in grains of sand and immediately regretted cutting his cloak. He brushed off some grains from his clothing and marched on. He entered the desert town. The citizens all looked hungry, hot, fatigued, trying to get by the best they can, using any article of clothing to shelter themselves from the relentless scorch of sun rays. Cain entered a home, bag in hand. "I'm here." He entered an open space room. It was well equipped with a computer, operating table, surgical tools, and other items Cain didn't quite understand. "Set the bag on the table. I will prepare," an elderly voice spoke from the next room over. "It was a good grab this time. Some wiggle room for mistakes." The elderly man entered the room, hunched over, wearing his age on his skin. A few stray white hairs pointing to the left and right, while revealing his baldness. He rubbed his hands together and opened the bag, revealing 3 green-shaped hearts with yellow veins glowing along its body. 3 hearts, his voice approved. "As I said, wiggle room for mistakes. And as I told you, when conducting research, one makes no mistakes, just discoveries." Cain shrugged and sighed. "Whatever cushions your pride." The elder man gazed at Cain's red gauntlets, stained with yellow and some tints of red that didn't match its origin color. "Trouble on the road?" he questioned. "Nothing I couldn't handle." Cain began to slip off his gauntlets and pailed some water from a tap. The elder man turned back to examine the 3 hearts. He gently caressed them, following the yellow-veined branches as if he were mapping out a road. "I see you took care to not burn these ones. You're getting better and better at controlling your Eterna. We need to make sure we're cautious. Any heart I can get increases our chances in finding a way to cure the beast virus." "Indeed," the elder man agreed. Cain began to scrub at his gauntlets. He hit a small switch that would be located at the bottom of his palm. A chainsaw blade shot out. He began coating it in a cleaning substance. "Cain, I won't let these 3 hearts go to waste. I will take the utmost care when performing my work." "That would be much appreciated," Cain responded with a hint of sarcasm. "But don't worry yourself. These hunts are the only thing that keeps me distracted. Worst comes to worst, I'll get you more." The elder man sighed, walked over to pull a stool, and sat by Cain. "No, you won't." Cain stopped cleaning his blade and met the gaze of the older man. Something about his words shifted the atmosphere. "The hell you mean?" Cain questioned. "I went to Maggot's medical. There was a wastelander riddled with bullets. He was hysterical. Men in black armored gear, red visors, and fully automatics lit him and his other ragtag group members up. When brought in for medical attention, my goggles flared. They were hit with Eterna," Cain hypothesized. "Yes, these were no normal bullets. It was Eterna energy. Shit." Cain realized that a group of wastelanders, or what he calls thugs, wandering around with the understanding of Eterna energy could lead to tyrannical outcomes. "You need me to get after them?" "Oh yes, you'll want to." Curiosity took Cain's expression. "The one who survived was able to ID these soldiers. They wore a patch of a dog biting the moon. This patch had something spelled on it." A brief pause. The elder man took a breath. It was as if he was going to speak an omen into existence. The hesitation, sweat, anxiety. He grew pale just thinking about what he had to speak. "Out with it," an impatient Cain commanded. "Nighthound Corporation." Cain's eyes widened with anger. His teeth grit, his chest puffing with breaths of anger. "What are you saying?" "Victor, he's shown himself. He's here, Cain. Alive and well. Cain shot up out of his seat with such force the wooden chair fell over. The elder man stood to impede his path. "Before you blindly rage and leave." He made sure to keep his hands in front of Cain, but also took care to not touch him while he's in such a state. "I recommend heading to Maggot's Medical and speaking to the Wastelander. He can point you in the direction of which they encountered these Nighthound soldiers. How long did you know?" Cain tried to calm himself. He didn't want to explode on his only friend. "Since yesterday. It's why I instructed you that we needed the biggest grab you could get, because I couldn't keep this from you. But I also knew, once you heard the news, you'll be gone within the hour, never to return until you have Victor's skull firmly in the palm of your hands." The tension began to calm. Cain took a breath. The elder man was right to hide this from him. After all, they have to remember why they are here in the slums. Cain, vengeance. The elder man, to save those who have been abandoned. Cain placed his hands on the shoulders of the elder man. "Anyone messes with you," the elder man scoffed. "I'm too valuable to mess with." "You make sure you tell him that the Junkyard Reaper will find them." Cain grabbed his gauntlets and mounted them on. "Abel should know." Cain stopped in his tracks, back turned before exiting. "He would only get in the way. Nonetheless, he has an equal right to know that Victor is out there. What he wants and what I want. They're both similar and different at the same time. I'm just saying. She was special to Abel too. Abel ain't like me. He's a good person. It's why I want to keep him far from this. Is it out of protection or shame? A bit of both. I just don't know how to face him after He loves you, Cain," the elder man interrupted. "And he always will. You are the only one who blames you for the death of your wife, his sister, your daughter, his niece." Cain let out a breath, a sigh of decompression. For the first time, the two looked at one another standing opposite in the room. "The two of you want to bring in Victor. Go to the Kingdom of Oath. He will join you. Dharmessus can't stop him." Cain chuckled. "Dharmessus is a coward. Despite that, he's still king. I can't have Abel abandon the Knights of Oath. Risa would never forgive me. Plus, what he wants and what I want are two different things. He wants to bring Victor back in chains. I want to bring him back in a body bag. Abel and his strong sense of justice would only get in my way. And if he agrees to killing Victor," the elder man challenged, "then I failed him as a brother." Cain would turn to open the door. Before exiting, he took one last look at the elder man. "Take care of yourself, Chime." Cain took his leave. Chime waved. "See you again, my friend." Cain would not look back. One foot in front of the other, Cain would walk the path of heartache, pain, loss, anger, violence, paved only in the conflict of blood. The embers of vengeance taunting his every feeling, provoking his senses into a frenzy of rage. Nothing else would fuel Cain. Victor is the one responsible for the death of his wife, his daughter, the birth of Eterna energy, the creation of the beasts. Victor's name is tagged with every vile thing that has become of this once precious home. 3 years. 3 long years. I'm on my way, Vic. And what I bring with me is your reward of terrible repercussions for ever daring to fuck with me. So sit comfortable. Enjoy that smug expression, because the clock has now began to tick, and death has chosen my body to perform its duty. And trust me, when I'm done with you, there won't be enough thread to stitch you back together. Victor, your consequences is coming!